When I started doing this series, I knew that eventually I'd have to recreate some of the more problematic Sonic the Hedgehog games. What I did not anticipate is having to tackle one of the most infamous games on the 4th episode of the series. Sonic the Hedgehog, commonly called Sonic 06, came out in, you guessed it, 2006, to very negative reception, to the point that fans recreated the game. But I vowed to build every Sonic game in LEGO, even the bad ones, and this game introduced us to a fan favorite character, Silver.
I feel the need for speed.
Today's algorithm quest is commenting your favorite Sonic character. Mine is either Shard or Metal Sonic. Today's video is special because not only is it a collaboration with Brickspiration, who's been taking this journey with me, but several other great creators. We're all building something from Sonic 06, so check them out in the description, especially Oz Brick Creator. He's the new kid on the YouTube block, but he's made some incredible builds over on Instagram, so go follow him. Anyway, let's get to today's build. I took a while to decide what I wanted to build. All the other good stuff got snatched up by my plastic brethren, and you play through the same few levels 3 different times in this game, so it's not like there are a lot of options. I opted for building the tropical jungle level, specifically when you're playing as Rouge. I am gonna mess that up later in the video, I'm sure of it. First thing we have to do is set up a platform to build on and tile it off. I bought a bunch of these 2x6 black tiles because all my previous Sonic builds are still built for conventions and such, and I ran out of black tiles. For the rock work, I want to try out a slightly different technique. To get the stone brick aesthetic across, I'll be layering segments at a half stud difference. Here's the first attempt so you can kind of visualize what I mean, and after a few hours, here's what I've got. I'll build a round stone structure to represent where the enemies and various boxes will be placed in the level. But then I ran out of bricks, so I hopped into my car and drove to my local pawn shop to dig through their used bricks. They changed the system, so instead of pricing by weight, it's by bag, so I ended up staying a lot longer than I thought I would, just to fill up a single bag and get my money's worth. Time lapse of me digging through the bricks, trying not to think about the germs that are probably in this bin. It's worth it though. I'd dig through a McDonald's ball pit for the pursuit of bricks. Here's all I managed to fit into my bag. For only $5, I am not mad about this deal. Also, I shared this on Instagram, but I found a Chima set for $8. I've made fun of this theme in the past, but man, this got me in the feels. I was so excited to have some fun with the speeders again. I thought about keeping it sealed, but no fun was ever had with a toy in a box. I loved these as a kid, and they're still a ton of fun. I goofed off with them for a bit, shooting the speeders through one of last year's Sonic sets, trying to get it into the ring. With the new parts, I redid a portion of the build to make it a bit taller and then hone in on the technique I'm using. Then I started building up the round rock segment, and then I kinda sorta started all over. I wasn't happy with how it was shaping up, and I wanted to make a strong build for this collab. I don't do this very often, and I'm not really sure why this mock was tougher for me to get right. My running theory is this is my first mock that doesn't really include something as iconic as usual. Of course I'll have to get over that, there's many niche games that we'll tackle eventually. Here's the new section, I made it wider and a bit more detailed, and next I added the laser gate that keeps the player from finishing the level before you defeat the enemies. I also built this weird star thing that you have to touch to finish the level. And here's the redone round segment, and now I'm going to start building up the tower that Rouge jumps down from. I've put a few rings on it and these handy dandy transparent parts to give the illusion that she's flying. Next, I built up the palm trees. I'm using the design from my Superstars build, but instead of brown cheese slopes, I'm using various tones of tan. After I stopped recording, I replaced the palm trees with lighter green plant pieces. Robots are tough, gang. Mechs in general just aren't my strong suit, but I like how the enemy types look. I built the main mech in the center and the 2 flying bots that are based off this build in the 2023 Sonic Wave, and then I also built some boxes to fill up the area. Finally, I created stone columns to place in between the enemies and the star mark in the end of the level. Here's the largest of the 3. I made a few small adjustments, but let's go ahead and jump to the final showcase of the build.
Gotta go fast.
Every LEGO builder has their bread and butter, the thing that they're really good at building, you know? I think mine is rockwork, which is prevalent in today's build, and I love how the ruins came together to give off the perfect aesthetic. Hey guys, Aaron from the future here. Just want to let you know that when I was recording this portion of the footage, it started raining, and I was too stubborn to call it quits and go back inside. But this is a mock based off of a jungle, so I think it's kinda cool, and you guys can pretend that it was on purpose. Okay, on with the video. For this build, I used two primary green colors, the normal green and LEGO's new bright green. In some of the time lapses, you probably noticed that I initially had lime green sprinkled in there, but ultimately I thought it made it too crowded in the color department. Hopefully TikTok forgives me for calling Rouge a niche character months ago. Now she's the focus of a whole build.
So, do you want to like go get coffee later? Maybe me and my 1 polygon boobs?
They're my favorite polygon!
This minifigure has honestly grown on me, and shout out to LEGO for knowing exactly what we want and providing these transparent elements. It works wonders to simulate movement in my builds. Another build I want to highlight is the laser gate I built to block the player from entry. I had to improvise connections because I didn't have enough red lightsaber hilts, but I love how it turned out, and here's a better look at the star that finishes the level. I'm glad I redid the center islands. The second version looks much better in both the rock work of the surface and the builds populating it. Of the two styles of mechs present here, I think I prefer the mosquito looking guy. He gives off serious Sonic the Hedgehog vibes, but I think the larger mech turned out nice too. I changed the branches that sit atop of the trees, and now they're lime green instead of the initial dark green. I think this works much better, and it gives a subtle splash of color. Earlier, I mentioned I had lime green as a color for the groundwork at first, and when building the mock, I try to keep the foundation simple in its color palette, and use the various additions like boxes or trees to give it some variety. I guess that's the tip for this video. Be intentional with what colors you use. Think about where you want to pull the viewer's attention. Stuff like rings or the beam builds, trees, etc. They all work better to intrigue the viewer, and then you let their eyes drift to the rockwork after that. With that note, I can wrap up the video. The next Sonic build will probably be Sonic Unleashed because y'all voted for it and I hear you loud and clear. And building a werehog sounds like a fun challenge. I know I said Frontiers was coming up, but I decided to shelve that until LEGO releases their Super Sonic minifigure, cause let's be honest, a Super Sonic vs Giganto build would go so hard. Anyway, see you next time, bye!